As been the ongoing theme with the Chicago Bulls is they're still trying to figure out a new path with Josh Giddey. We got updates on what the contract situation may look like according to Brett Sigel, who's actually been given quite a bit of Bulls news here recently. We'll talk about it all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, hosted by Haize, your number one spot for all things Chicago Bulls.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. Brett Sigel released his normal Siegel scoop, and we got a couple of Bulls details in that I want to go over today. Nothing too deep, but I figured why not bring the update since we have it. So according to Brett Sigel, he says this in his most recent article. The Bulls have not offered more than a four-year contract in the $20 million per year range. However, the two sides are expected to reunite and negotiate and find common ground on a new deal this summer. No team outside of Chicago has expressed legitimate interest in Giddey due to his contract demand. So it seems like the Chicago Bulls are not the only team that looked at Josh Giddey and said, $30 million, we're not feeling that. And thus the Chicago Bulls continue to use that as leverage in their contract negotiations. Now, you get some Bulls fans that feel like this is the right move. Some feel like they're lowballing him, whatever it is when it comes down to it. But at the end of the day, where it stands right now, there's a pretty large gap between Josh Giddey and what his agency wants and what the Chicago Bulls are offering. Now, I personally think that this is a negotiation tactic. The Bulls understood and knew no team was going to offer Giddey anything close to that $30 million contract demand, if that is the case. And thus, the Chicago Bulls have taken the stance of, listen, this is our offer. Let's negotiate from this point, which is how negotiations are supposed to go. And I understand. I said it on today's earlier episode that I understand the people that look at this and they say things and wonder like, okay, why are you doing this now? You didn't do this with Patrick Williams. Why are you nickel and diamond when it comes down to it? But at the end of the day, the Bulls owe it to themselves. If you can get a player at less, you do that. Now, I will say this, thus hearing now that the contract was for 4 years, and $20 million per, which puts it at about 4 years, $80 million-ish, probably more like 80, 82, because there's saying $20 million range means there's a little bit over that. That's considerably less than what Josh Giddey would want even at the 4-year mark. So there's still a large gap between these two sides and what the next contract should look like. And somebody's going to have to give something up. And I do think this is ultimately going to come down to a mix of incentives and a mix of the Bulls offering a little bit more than what their offer is. David says it here. It's business. And that's really what this is. This is business. I know this is not how we're used to AK and Eversley doing business. This is not what we're used to seeing from them. But this is business. And again, they're not the only team doing this with their restricted free agents. Cam Thomas, Jonathan Kuminga, Josh Giddey. In a lot of off seasons, these guys would have already been off the table. But because of the lack of money in free agency and so many teams waiting until the free agency of the summer of 2026 to make a big splash financially, that's where all these guys sit at being restricted. The teams hold the power in cases like that. And because the Bulls do have matching rights and no team has reportedly made a serious offer or has legitimate interest in Josh Giddey, I don't know what else people expected of this. This was probably always how this was going to go. It just is what it is at this point. I don't really know what else to say. At this point, it is what it is. And the Bulls and Josh Giddey are going to have to sit down. They're going to have to figure something out. Giddey's already back over in Australia working out. So that tells me that this could go a while. This could go well into August. And I don't think I initially thought that would be the case, to be 100% honest with y'all. But hey, Murray says, fair enough starting offer, then bump it up to $25 million over 5 years to get the deal done. Everybody wins. And that very well could be what it is, right? Or for anybody who's been involved in negotiations, I'm talking about real negotiations, you know that one side starts high, the other side starts low, and you figure it out at that point in time. But you don't put your best offer. Like, it would not be actual negotiation if the Bulls went to the table with exactly how high they'd be willing to go. You start off lower. And I do think that the Bulls, if they can get Josh Giddey and his camp to agree to 5 years, $26 million with incentives, I think that they would do that. But we'll see what happens there. Crazy Zach signed an $80 million offer sheet how many years ago? Now they're offering that to Josh Giddey. Yeah, I mean, but it was a totally different situations where the franchises were. Zach LaVine had been with the franchise, I think, for 3 years at that point. Maybe it was just 2. But yeah, I mean, it's a totally different situation. So, and I would say that, yeah, I mean, Giddey's been on teams that have gone in the playoffs where Zach hadn't, but that wasn't here in Chicago. So I mean, you could really use that to go either way in the negotiation if you wanted it to. So I see where you're coming at with that for sure. But hey, I mean, that's just where these negotiations are. We'll see how they end up shaking out. Who ends up conceding more, because that's really what this is going to come down to. One of the sides are going to have to concede more, or if Josh Giddey and his camp truly feel that this is disrespectful, they'll take the qualifying offer. Bet on yourself. That could be the thing. Now, another part tucked away in this Brett Sigel report was this. He says this in regards to Kuminga and the Warriors, something that we've already kind of heard, but it's kind of more fleshed out. That leaves Chicago Bulls as another team rumored to be interested in Kuminga since last season. The Warriors are still holding out belief that they can get a sign and trade done with the Bulls. Then again, Chicago has its own problems to figure out with Giddey. Before they can think about pursuing Kuminga, the Bulls will need to come to terms with a new Giddey deal first, since they are hard capped at the first apron. It has been made clear that Chicago doesn't hold interest in trading Kobe White. No interest in trading Kobe White. Let's repeat that again for the people in the back. They don't hold interest in trading Kobe White. For those that still come up with trade scenarios every other day and send them to me, they hold no interest in trading Kobe White for now. But it's unlikely Golden State will pursue veteran center Nikola Vucevic in a sign and trade for Kuminga, sources have said. Ayo Dosunmu is a key name to keep an eye out on, not just for the Warriors who have been interested in him previously, but other teams around the league as well. There's been plenty of interest in Dosunmu as he enters the final year of his contract. Now, you can take this one of a few different ways, right? The Bulls could very well be looking at teams that have interest in Ayo Dosunmu and saying to themselves, bet, we're going to let this build, and we're eventually going to get a great deal. Or you can take that and say, which is my stance on it, if you already have tons of teams calling on Ayo Dosunmu and you have basically made no movement on that, to me that says the Bulls plan on keeping Ayo Dosunmu, which I still think is the best bet for the Chicago Bulls. So those are really the two minds when you really look at that. I think when it comes down to it, is that I personally take that. And again, I'm saying personally because we can't say for sure. But I am personally taking that as it meaning the Bulls really don't have an interest in trading Ayo. If you mean to tell me that multiple teams have called around with all the deals that we've seen, the picks that have traded hands, all this that we've seen, if you're meaning to tell me that multiple teams have called on Ayo Dosunmu and the Bulls have still looked at that and said, you know what? No, we good, y'all. We kind of good on that. That to me tells me that there's not really a big interest in moving Ayo. And not to say that that's necessarily the wrong thing to have in that either. If you don't have an interest in moving him, cool, great. Why move him then? And that's what it seems like the Bulls are taking as far as in this place is that they are not considering moving Ayo, that they look at Ayo Dosunmu as a player that they want to keep around and in their system. And to me, I don't see anything wrong with that. But again, it only goes so far as to what happens at the trade deadline. I take this personally saying that the Bulls have it. They plan on keeping Ayo right now. But all it takes is that the right team to be desperate enough at the trade deadline and offer the Bulls a deal that they feel that they can't pass up on because they feel like Ayo helps them go for a title run or whatever it is. I'm not saying that that's what's happening here, but if that does happen, I wouldn't be too surprised at it. Would not be surprised at all. The Chicago Bulls have no interest in trading Ayo right now, but then at the trade deadline, whatever team, name your team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, whatever team you want to name, the Golden State Warriors, get to the point where there's just like, listen, we need something before we go into the playoffs, and we feel Ayo brings a lot of what we need, and then they put something more on the table than what's been there before. And if that ends up happening, I wouldn't be surprised in that. So, it's up to the Bulls to really look at that, monitor it, decide which way they're going to go about it. But I guess we shall see what the future holds for these guys and for the Bulls. But as it stands right now, does not seem like the Bulls have an interest in moving Ayo, even though there seems to be quite a bit of interest in Ayo around the league. So let's see. Would this contract make Giddey one of the lowest paid starting point guards in the league that's not still on a rookie contract? I don't know. I'm not even going to act like my contract knowledge around the league goes that deep off the top of my head. I can look it up for sure. I know how to find it, but I don't know off the top of my head. I have to do some research on that one. Often, the Jalen Suggs contract is cited by Giddey camp as justification for $30 million per year for 5 years. What's your comparison for Giddey and Suggs' career so far? They're similar. Jalen Suggs, of course, has been a better defender, but I went over this in the episode before, David, is that Giddey has scored more points, more rebounds, more assists. Not nearly the defender that Jalen Suggs is. And Jalen Suggs has had one season of being a really good three-point shooter. So, I mean, Giddey's camp has a foot to stand on in using that as a comparison when you're looking at the raw numbers. They just do. So, yeah, and again, that's just being 100% fair. I think that it's legitimately in the cards that they lose Kobe and Giddey for nothing next season. Yeah, I don't think that. I don't think they're going to lose them both for nothing. I don't. If they lose one, they're not going to lose the other one. Y'all know I've been saying 3 years, $60 million, 50 guarantee. Good job, Acme. Watch those Andre Miller highlights if you want to see the future. First of all, he's a way better passer than Andre Miller ever was. So yeah, I don't think you can pat yourself on the back on that what you've been saying yet for a while. It's obvious Warriors are waiting on the Bulls to finish their roster, but nobody thought. First of all, it's just Josh Giddey would play hardball with the deck is stacked against him. How long are the Warriors willing to wait? I mean, honestly, they hold the rights, so. They can wait it out if they decide to wait it out. They really have no timeline on it other than the date. What is it? October 1st, where a player has to decide if they're going to take the qualifying offer or not. So the Warriors, with the market not really being there, technically they can wait this thing out as long as they need to. So we shall see. We shall see. But thank you guys for tuning in on that one, man. I just wanted to give that quick update, that quick episode. Nothing really left to talk about it on that one, man. But let me know what you guys think on all down below. Hearing that the Chicago Bulls and Josh Giddey are not seemingly anywhere close on the contract still, that the Warriors have an interest in Ayo Dosunmu, but it seems like the Bulls have no interest in trading Ayo or Kobe for that matter. Let me know what you guys think on all that down below. Make sure you guys are following us at Bull Central Pod. You send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. BullCentralPod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. That's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.